for daily Ask Reddit. r/Ask Reddit. What's your duck this? I quit. Story? I was fractured my orbital socket in an industrial accident. Another employee lost focus at the wrong time, was supposed to wait for a hand signal and didn't. We had been working over 90 days straight of 13 to 14 hour shifts and living in crappy motel a 45-minute drive from our work site. We were supposed to be on a rotation where we didn't work more than 3 weeks at a time. It was a close call and could have been a lot worse. I'm glad I saw it coming and had time to at least try and get out of the way. I got sent away after a night in the air while the rest of that crew continued to work. After spending 2 or 3 days at home, the boss called to say that he needed me in Alaska in 2 days and that my flight was already booked. Told him I quit right on the spot. Worked at a Spencer's Gifts for a bit during uni. I was working and saw that I was scheduled for an evening shift the day before a morning exam. So I asked the manager if I could switch. She said no, the schedule is already made up. Went back and forth trying to negotiate with her. She ended with, "You're going to have to decide what's more important, the shift or your exam." Lol, she thought one shift was worth an entire grade to a course you were paying for. I had a boss do the same. I was hired as a bartender, but my actual duties were closer to cleaning staff/waitress/hostess and kitchen staff. Paid from 5 PM to 12 AM. Was told to come in at 3, unpaid, for prep. At 3 AM I was talking to the manager telling him I was taking myself and my BF home. I was his ride. He says we couldn't because there was customers. I said I had morning classes and I wasn't be paid anyways for that time. So I told him to start serving them then. He said he'd pay me for overtime. So I took the cash for the overtime and left. He was a shitty manager and a drunk. He lost his job and his wife, his coworker too, shortly after. Karma sucks. Edit. I know it was illegal, I was working off the books, so I couldn't complain, and he knew it. I was broke university student, but I reached my limit that time. Joined a call center with the obvious shady pay structure. They said the calls are inbound, so I thought hey that's not too bad then. Turns out the inbound calls were generated by their robocall system indirectly implying that they were Google, but never saying so, and we were directed to use some dubious answer if someone asked back quote are you Google? After getting yelled at and cussed out and constantly getting people who had been called many times before and were clearly irate, I just got up and left in the middle of the day. I also complained to Google that these guys were pretending to be Google. And these guys were shite scared of getting complaints like that. Seriously ducked up people. My first job was at a fast food restaurant. I only lasted about 3 months. The manager was sleazy. The employees were straight up lazy. I had to mop up one day. There was an area in the kitchen where you kinda have to lean forward so you can slide the mop under a counter. The manager decided to come out of the office and just stand behind me and watch. I looked at him and asked is there something wrong? He said no, but just wanted to make sure I cleaned correctly. Right, because there was no worry about how well I cleaned the rest of the kitchen, but now that I'm bending over there is. I immediately stopped and walked out. A little Greek restaurant I worked at early in high school. Got hired and spent the first 2 days cleaning everything the owner and son were too lazy to clean. Years worth of old grease in the deep fryer's interior, mold in the fridges, stains in the bathrooms etc. Just ducking gross. Ask about payday on the end of the second day and it went something like this. So, how does payday work here? Is it weekly? Bi-weekly? What? You are on training. If we like the job you do we will hire you with pay. Confused, I ask so you're saying that you're not going to pay me for cleaning years worth of mold, grease, and bathroom stains? No, you will be paid for work once your training is done. Oh, okay duck this, I quit. Edit 1, wow, I did not think this would get this level of attention. Edit 2, for those saying that this level of mistreatment is just a thing with Greeks, I can't speak to your experiences, but I have since worked in a couple of other Greek restaurants and was treated great. My mom's. I was studying overseas and my parents booked a trip to come out at the end of the school term, bringing along my 2 siblings, one who lived away from home, the other about to start college. It was a month-long trip with lots of prepaid flights. trains, hotels, plus it would likely be the last big trip we all took together. Obviously, both my parents requested and secured approved PTO months in advance. It was the month of June. Typical summer vacation. A couple days before the trip was to happen, my mom's boss hands her an assignment. Mom hands it back, saying she can't take it on as she has a month-long vacation about to start. My folks don't believe in hyperbole, but trip of a lifetime would be a fair description. Boss says, oh yay, sorry, you can't take vacation anymore. Mom says if you cancel my PTO, I quit. Boss, blank stare. Mom handed in her notice and left. We had an amazing trip. She got a new job on return. My first job. I was assigned to a specific area, and I thought I was doing my job well. One Monday, I was pulled into the office and asked why. Whatever thing it was, I don't remember, hasn't been done for the last 2 weeks. I replied I wasn't aware it was part of my duties. My supervisor said he was putting me on a mandatory non-paid vacation for 2 weeks. No warning, no explanation on why I all of a sudden had to do work for a different department. So I said, don't worry about it, I quit. It was a lousy job anyway. I was only getting paid 18 hours a week, but was doing more than that. 16 and stupid, I guess. Got a summer job while I was in high school at a place that made fiberglass tanks. I was told I'd be doing groundskeeping and yard work. Figured I'd scored an easy gig of bombing around on a ride-on mower and whatnot. Nope. The first day I show up, in a t-shirt and jeans, I was told the yard equipment wasn't ready. So they had me cut raw fiberglass for 8 hours with an X-Acto knife and no PPE. Being a dumb shit kid, I didn't immediately quit, and did this for 3 more days. At least after the first day I'd brought my own gloves and long sleeve shirt. However, on said fated day 3 was when they were doing tank coatings. So about 10 feet away from me are 2 dudes in full PPE. We are talking coveralls, rubber gloves, glasses, face shields, and respirators. 10 feet away from me, in a poorly ventilated room, spraying the exterior of a tank with presumably fiberglass coating. I only made it a few hours before having to go to the bathroom to puke. Was told to quit being a pussy and go back out on the floor. So I fortunately had a moment of not being a stupid kid and said I quit and walked home. Both parents were mad when I told them I'd quit. Jokes on them though, because a few years later, that company killed 2 dudes. A guy asphyxiated while working inside one of the tanks, and the person that tried to rescue him also ended up dying. Whole place got shut down permanently.